Eddie the magic monk. Eddie the magic monk. Eddie the magic monk. Eddie the magic monk.
Hey guys, it's Eddie the Magic Monk. Today we're going to talk about how to do another practice question for factorizing over C. So you can only understand this if you have been doing my complex number tutorials, but basically Z is not a normal number, it is a complex number. So 3 plus 2i or something like that. So how will we factorize this? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the negative 10 out by factorizing. So put that at the front. Negative 10 z squared plus 25 over 10 z minus 30 over 10. And let's fix up the sign. So negative 10 times, this should be a negative, so let's fix that up because negative times negative is positive. So negative 10 times this will give you the second term, and negative 10 times a positive 30 over 10 will give you negative 30. So these two equations are equal. That's why I can keep going. So I'm simply changing the format of the equation but not the output. So let's now try and simplify some of these terms. So you can see here 25 over 10. Can I simplify that? Well, I can divide both by 5, so it's actually 5 over 2, and then 30 over 10 is just 3. So I could have done that a bit earlier, but so I'm just going to write that out again. Negative 10 z squared minus 5 over 2 z plus 3. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to copy this down again, but I'm going to leave a bit of space in between the 5 over 2z and the plus 3. And I'm going to do something with that space, which you will see very soon. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to half the number in front of z and I'm going to square it. So that is going to give me 5 over 4 squared. Right? Because what's 5 over 2 halved? 5 over 2 divided by 2 is 5 over 4. And then I'm going to square that. I'm going to add it on and take it away again. Okay, and the reason I do that is because now I have an equation. This equation here, this part of the equation now fulfills this form, x squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And then I can simplify that into x minus b. Oops, sorry, not x, a. Let me just fix that a little bit. A squared minus 2ab. So I can change that to a minus b squared. Okay, and you can see that a in this case is z. B in this case is 5 over 4. 2ab in this case is 5 over 2z. So it does work. So now let's turn that into a minus b. So I'm just going to write it down first here so you can see it easier. A is z. B is 5 over 4. So a minus b squared is z minus 5 over 4 squared. So I've got z minus 5 over 4 squared. Okay, so that part's taken care of. And then I have this part remaining. And if you don't want to do that part, just hit it in the calculator. It's okay. So I'm just going to type that into my calculator. So I'm just going to put in negative 5 over 4 squared. And then I'm going to plus 3. And that's 23 over 16. 23 over 16. So plus 23 over 16. Okay, so this number just matches that part, and this number matches this part. So it's all very clear. Okay, so have we done it? Have we done it? No, because this part is not completely factorized. So by factorizing, in this case, what we mean is that we want to have in final form 2 brackets. Okay, and that's it. 2 brackets multiplying each other. So we're not done yet. So now what we want is we need to use another equation, and that is a squared minus b squared equals a plus b, a minus b. And that will give us 2 brackets multiplying each other. And we're basically going to make this a. So we have a squared at the front, and we're going to make this b squared. Okay, this is b squared. So b is going to be, b squared is 23 over 16. B is the square root of 23 over 16. So, but then we got a plus in the middle, whereas this is minus. So that's going to cause a bit of a problem. But if you guys remember, I squared is -1. I squared is -1. So if we insert an I squared here, so I'm just going to write it in the next line. Okay, so I have z minus 5 over 4 squared plus 23 over 16. Now, if I insert an I squared, that means 23 over 16 times -1. So then I can change this to a negative. I can change this to a negative, and these 2 equations still equal. These 2 equations still equal each other, because I squared is -1. And -1 times 23 over 16 times negative is positive. So, continuing from that, I know you guys are very excited, is we want to just establish what our A and B's are. So we've already done that here. A is that and B is that. So using this formula, I can keep going. So I have -10, and I can simply use A plus B, A minus B in the 2 brackets. So then I have A is, I probably need bigger size brackets because it's a bit small. So A plus B, A is z minus 5 over 4 plus B. B is, I haven't said what B was. B is that. But since this is B squared, so B squared is 23 over 16 I squared. So B is the square root of 23 over 16 I. Just I, because I squared square root is I. So it's plus B, which is 23 over 16 I. And then I'm going to get the other bracket. So A minus B. So it's z minus 5 over 4. That's the A part. Minus B, so that's minus square root of 23 over 16i. Okay, so now I can simply get rid of the big bracket because we're just multiplying -10 by these 2 terms. So it's -10 bracket z minus 5 over 4 plus square root of 23 over 16i, 2 minus 5 over 4 minus square root 23 over 16i. Okay, and that is fully factorized into two brackets. And if you want, you can multiply this term into the bracket, into the first bracket, but to me, that is totally fine already. So now here is where we check the answer. Okay, we want to make sure this is going to give us the same answer as this. Okay, because they're the same equation. So the way you would check that using the GeoGebra calculator is basically you're going to type a complex number, just any complex number. So let's just put in 2 plus 3i, just a simple complex number, and make sure you can see it on your graph. Okay, so it doesn't matter what it is right now, you can drag it around. Now notice this complex number is called Z1, but I'm going to make it simple, try to call it just Z, but it can't do it. It's got to be Z underscore 1. So to type that equation in, you're going to put in, so this equation here, I'm going to put in negative 10 times Z1 underscore, make sure you type shift hyphen, that'll give you the underscore key, 1, equals, plus, so we need to square that, so Z1 squared, oops, it's hard to put in squared, oh, it won't let me squared, and then plus 25 times Z1 minus 30. Okay, so that gives me this insane number. And now I'm going to put in the factorized form and see if it gives me the same number. So the factorized form is down here. I'm going to try type that in. Okay, so I got negative 10 times Z1 minus 5 over 4 plus square root of 23 over 16 I. Okay, make sure this I is outside of the square root by pressing the right arrow key, and then times, again times Z1 minus 5 over 4, oops, minus 5 over 4 minus square root of 23 over 16 and right arrow key I. Oops, right arrow key twice I. Okay, and you can see that this gives us the exact same number. Okay, both equations give us the same output, and if you drag the number Z1 around, these two equations will continue to give you the same output. Okay, exactly the same. Except that's 002 and that's 004, but I guess that's more of a rounding error. Okay, so those two give us the exact same answer, which means they're the same equation. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.